An honor and a blessing to be here all the way from Chattanooga, Tennessee. And yes, I am a Vols fan. So I'm sorry. I travel with my friend Alan. He's kind of my bodyguard, so to speak. There's not a lot of people wider than me, but it's real fun jumping on a plane. We had to get on a plane in Chattanooga a couple of days ago, right? I lost track of time. We were over in with Banquet number 1 last night, but we were on a plane, and if you can imagine, I'm gonna stand up real quick just for a second. They gotta actually picture this. So this guy and me, sitting in a plane, a two-seater next to each other, and I'm stuck against the window like this, and he's stuck out in the aisle, and it was a lot of fun. But you know what? I would do it all over again, because we're actually getting ready to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and drive to Little Rock, catch a flight back to Atlanta and then to Chattanooga. But it's all worth it to be here, to be a voice for the voiceless, to just give to be able to, it is such an honor and a blessing for me to even have the ability to stand up here and speak. I want to share this. I'm not here to glorify Steventhen Holland. I'm here to glorify my Savior, my Lord, the whole reason I breathe and have air. And so real quick about me before I get in, I'm here to just kind of share my story. But before I do that, I want to let you know a little bit about who I am. I'm a father of 3 daughters. I'm not sure if that's like a blessing or a curse, Most days, it is a blessing, it's an honor, but man, the drama around my house, right? It's just crazy. Then you add my wife, Rachel. We've been married almost 12 years, almost 13 years now, and it's like 4, just estrogen ocean, just swimming in it. But I think, somebody we were teasing in the back earlier, they were like, let it go, let it go, I'm like, I know every word, But my daughters, my wife again is Rachel. We've been married for 12 years. My oldest, Isabella, she's 11 years old. We call her Izzy. And Eliana, she's our 8-year-old. And then Cadence, we call her, Ellie. Then we call Cadence, we call her KK. She's 5. And she will throat punch people. Okay, like her and her sisters, it's just a brawl. She's all girl, but she could have been a boy, right? She doesn't play around. But it's just when I look at these precious children and I share my story lately, you understand why they mean so much to me. Not only just being a father, but the miracles that they are. I look back and I'm so blessed. It's hard to be away from them. But to be here tonight and to share is just a complete honor. I'm here to honor this organization, this beautiful organization that is a beacon of hope and life for this community. These ladies, thank you so much for coming and sharing your heart. I know it's not easy to get up here in front of all these people, but if it's not for organizations like this, being here and being hope and providing hope, this organization has to be here, right? And that's what we're here to champion tonight. And so I want to, before I share my testimony, I kind of want to give you a challenge. Because it's not only, obviously, yes, we're here to, I'm going to say 3 things. We're here to draw awareness to how we can support this organization with our time. 3 T's, okay? Time, our talents, and our treasures. Okay? And I'm going to come back to that, and I want you to think about that. And this is what I also want you to hear. As I get an opportunity and blessing to share my story, I want to challenge you this. I hope you hear love tonight. I hope you hear sacrifice. I hope you hear fight. People that fought for my life, right? That believed in something. I hope you hear hope. And I hope you see that there's restoration no matter what you're going through. That's my heart. I know we're here for a banquet. I know we're here for a major purpose. But also, I want you to know that you have purpose. There is hope for you. There is restoration still for you, no matter what you're going through tonight. This is what I live by. I'm broken, but I'm not dead. Amen? Amen. All right, so real quick. So let's go back to, if you can imagine, I'm 36 years old, okay? And again, I was born in a little town called Whitwell. It's a Whitwell, is how you say it. But if you're from there and you say Whitwell, if you come in out, everybody knows an outsider if they don't say it right. Whitwell. but it's spelled W-H-I-T-W-E-L-L. Where do you get that from, right? But it's right outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee, so this is where a lot of my story goes down. So I'm 8 years old, and I'm at school, and I'll put air quotes around this. My friends came up to me one day, and they're like, man, you're so weird. You're so different. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, tell me something I don't know, right? And they're like, no, did you know like your whole family's white and you're not? What? Like, yeah, it never came, I'm 8 years old and this never came up in conversation. Because in my house, you know, I mean, it's just love and this is, what do you mean I'm little? And then I'm like, look at him, I'm like, dude, you're right. You know? I got a little gingerbread going on. So I'm so confused, and honestly, I'm kind of hurt because they said you're so weird and different, right? So I'm 8 years old, so I go home and I'm at bed, you know, getting ready to go to bed, and you know how mamas are, right? They won't leave you alone because it's like I call it spidey sense, like they know, like, you know, you can't hide from it. I'm like, go away, I just want to go to sleep. But then she kept pressing me and asked me, like, you know, what's going on, what happened? And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. And she kept pressing, and then finally I was like, okay. You know, I had these kids at school that came up to me, and evidently I'm the wrong color, you know? And like they said, and then I looked at myself and I was like, wait a minute, they're not lying. And so something's up. And she said, okay. Sat down next to the bed with me, and she said, son, I'm going to tell you something, and this is the deal. I want you to know that no matter what comes next or what's said next is I love you. I've always loved you. You are my son. Nothing's ever going to take that away. I just want you to hear that. And I said, okay, Mom, what's going on? She said, when you were 7 days old, we brought you into our family as a foster child. Now I'm 8 years old, and I didn't understand all of it at the time, but I remember the conversation because it was a turning point in my life. She said, when you were 7 days old, we brought you into our family as a foster child. And just to let you know, the reason we were foster parenting is we have 4 children. You know that. You have your brother Ricky, you have your brother Rod, you have your brother Renee, you have your brother Robin. They were going to change my name to Rocky, but thank the Lord. Because my name's not a mistake, by the way. Please, somebody remind me if I walk off the stage and forget to tell you my name. I forgot that last night. But Steventhen is my name, okay? And so anyways, she kept my name, but she said, you have these 4, you have 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and here's the thing. About 2 years before we brought you into our home, I was expecting a little boy. He was 22 weeks, and we lost him. I had a miscarriage. And that was a baby that we were so longing to have. It was a surprise, because your sister, obviously, she's 15, a 15-year gap between you and your siblings. So it was definitely a surprise. But we were longing for one more little boy. And so they had, at a time, they had 4 kids in their house plus 8 foster kids. And then she was teaching school, and one day she gets a phone call, and the office calls her up from bus duty and says, hey, listen, you got a phone call. She takes it, and it's Human Services in a little place called Marion County, Tennessee. And they said, we've got a 7-day-old baby that was just brought in, very, very, very malnutrition. He probably, I'm just being real with you, he probably will not survive. He can't even suck a bottle right now. He's very, very weak. But would you be open to opening your home to care for him? And they said, yes. And this family, that may not be my blood, but at 7 days old, took me in. They literally never put me down. Some people say I'm spoiled a little bit, but they held me and nursed me literally back to health. They breathed life into me. They massaged my legs. They powdered my little rear end, which isn't so little anymore. But and then they would squeeze milk into my mouth because I was not strong enough to suck the bottle. Like this family that not blood, but I'm their son from day one. So fast forward a little bit. I'm 6 months old. My mom had, obviously, with foster parenting, they were, having to keep journals and do all these things. But the state of Tennessee came to them and said, listen, we realized at the time, as my skin color started getting darker, my hair started changing, they were coming and do home visits. I think this child they were saying it might be better to be moved into a biracial home or an African American home. And they said, whoa. We've put our heart and soul into this child for 6 months, and we've nursed him back. This is our son. It's not only our son, but it's our church's baby. It's not only our church's baby, but it's our community's baby. And my sisters would take me to basketball games and carrying their little brother on their hip, that kind of. And so there was a battle that ensued at 6 months old. My parents said, "Listen, we're going to fight. I'm sorry, but this is our son." Well, one thing I'll tell you, I lost my dad, the only earthly father I've ever known, in 2014 to Alzheimer's. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through in my life. But there's a picture. I was blessed to be able to author a book in 2015 called The Journey, Brokenness to Wholeness. And I have copies back there, and I'd love to sell you one to feed my family if you'd like. I'll even sign it for you. But, sorry, no shame, okay? But there's a picture in this book. It's full of pictures, easy read. But there's a picture in there that I didn't even realize when I put it in the book, but it's become a treasure to me. And it's my dad. He used to work the mines, and I thought he was black most of his life. He'd come in, covered in coal, and he had that gojo. You don't know what gojo is. He'd rub that all over his body. But he'd get cleaned up, and he would come in because I was so weak, and he was afraid that if he left me by myself, he just couldn't stand that. He would lay down in bed shirtless, and I was shirtless, and he would hold me to his heart. And when he died, I got to trade places with him. And I'll share a little more about that later, but when he passed away, I got to be the one holding him. And it was one of the hardest things, but also one of the most beautiful things I've ever been able to be a part of. Right? So let's get back to the story. Sorry. But in that moment, my dad comes in from work, and this is all going down. My mom tells him, and he's like, no. This is my son. This is our baby. We're going to fight. So from 6 months old to age 2, they literally fought to keep me. Also, not only did they fight, but guess what? This community fighting and standing in the gap for beautiful babies and women, it's a community of people that believe that this is worth fighting for. I have still, to this day, I have 700 to 800 petition letters from churches, from church members, from business owners, people that, from this little community, from Wolfville, Tennessee, that believe that this child deserved to be in this home. And they fought for my life. And so at age 2, I officially became Steventhen Holland. So I'm thankful for the Holland family. I'm thankful for they believed in the fight and that this baby, not so much anymore, right, was worth fighting for and keeping in their home. So that's where I'm coming from. So at 8 years old, that's what I'm finding out. And but I'll also say this. I'm here to glorify God above all else tonight. It was also in that time, if we want to get real, it's probably been one of the hardest times in my life having to deal with, okay, wait a minute. So this woman, this is the real side, right? A woman gave birth to me and then didn't want me. That hurts. Like, why did she give me away? Like, did she not love her son? I had these questions. Then I'm looking at this family that, I know they love me, but they're not my blood, right? And I was wrestling with all this stuff, and I really dug it out. For the first time in my life, I can say I think back is when I was broken. I was broken, I was hurting. But here's the thing. I had a drug problem growing up. Hang on. Every time the church doors were open, I was drug in and drug out. You know what I'm saying? My Sunday school teacher, her name was Fanny Jones. You know who she was? She was my Mimi, right? And y'all think I'm kidding, but she would hit me over the head with a Bible. You know what I'm saying? Because I was that kid. But I guess she thought it would like stick more if she hit me with it. But she hid the Word of God in my heart at an early age. I had a knowledge of who Jesus was and a love for the Scripture, whether I wanted it or not, But in that moment, in my lowest place, as an 8-year-old and broken, there was only one place to run. You know where that was? To the foot of the cross, to Jesus. And so in a revival, back in 1990, I think it was, 8 years old, in the midst of all that darkness, I found myself, white knuckling the back of that pew and stepping out in an aisle and walking to the front of a church and surrendering my life to the maker, the provider, the healer of my brokenness, Jesus. He became not just a name, but it became a relationship that I gained that day as an 8-year-old. And there's been times where I've run really far from him, but he's never left me. You know? And so I look back at, you know, in middle school, and I say this, I love this, but Jesus that day became Jesus plus nothing equals everything. Did y'all catch that? We always try to put something in that nothing spot, but really all it is Jesus equals everything. Right? But there's been so many times where I put something in that spot that really didn't need to be there. You know, because growing up, I was, you know, a predominantly white community, which I love all people. You hear my heart. But for me as a biracial kid growing up, there were some challenges there, right? Dating, don't get me started. You know, it's just Jesus plus girls equals everything, right? You know, but it was, there was something, you know, then I got into sports because, see, I didn't want to be called different anymore. Right? So I was 200 none of your business pounds since 7th grade. You know, in a 25-game season at 12 years old, I hit 28 home runs. You know, it's either strikeout or it's Babe Ruth. You know, I'm two strikes from Babe, I'm swinging for the fence. Right? I was earthquake in middle school and freight train in high school. You know what I'm saying? 200 none of your business, fullback, middle linebacker. Right? And here's what happened though. A lot of that stuff in pursuing became God, little g. Right? Because Jesus wasn't everything at times. Right? But there's always this burning question. Okay, God, you know, should I search for my mom? Should I do that? Just to let you know, during that process, there were moments, there was times where it was a longing in my soul that just never really I could get away from, but I didn't know how to handle it. And I'm going to come back to that. So I actually go to school in Bristol, Tennessee. Anybody know where Bristol's at? Got any NASCAR fans out there? Okay. 8 miles from the track. I walked on campus at a little school there because I was actually getting recruited to play football, and that's what I was pursuing. But talk about broken, this junior year of high school in 1998, I got hit in the back by free safety, and I didn't know it at the time that hit gave me 3 herniated discs and a pinched nerve. At 17 years old, I had to have surgery. And like that, in a moment, it was like the doctor told my family, do you want to walk or do you want to play football? That's your choice. Tell my parents. I was like, walking sounds good. You know? So I hung up the pads, dropped 60 pounds my senior year of high school, got in the best shape of my life. I wasn't going to play any sports, y'all, I kid you not. But I walked on to King College. It's King University now, they've grown a little bit. But King College in Bristol, Tennessee, I stepped on that campus and I knew it wasn't really a sports school necessarily. I walked into that campus and I knew that's where God wanted me. And I started a major in music therapy. That's what I felt, led to do. I made a D in theory and I was like, yeah, I'm done with that. So, it is what it is, right? But I find myself in a dorm room. By the way, I played 5 years of college baseball. I didn't really get away from the sports, but that's another talk. I'm in my dorm room and I'm on my knees crying out to God. And the reason I was there is He was calling me into student ministry. And I was like, no. Because I've had uncles and, family members that were pastors, and I'm not doing that. But really what it wasn't even really that. I was looking at my life, and this is what I told God, you cannot use this. You just don't understand, God. I'm so messed up. I'm so dirty. I'm so broken, God. You can't use this. And before, God, I kid you not, before that time when God was spent, I literally was weeping in tears and ugly crying and on my face in the dorm room. I think my roommate may have came in. He probably ran, like, what's going on? Demon was, I don't know. But I'm laying on the floor crying out to God, and this is what He spoke to me. He said, listen, I'm going to use you for my glory, but you have to lay it down. If you give me every broken piece, I'm going to use you for my glory. But guess what? You have to make the decision whether you're going to lay it down on behalf of God. And in that moment, I said, okay, God, broken pieces and all are yours. And I majored in youth ministry, so I've been a youth pastor. I'm not currently a youth pastor anymore because, guys, I'll branch out. But for 12 years, I served as middle school pastor. And that's why I'm all fluffy. Middle school, high school, and leading worship. Led worship. The last time I was on the church staff, I led 5 worship services a week in a church in Tampa, Florida called South Tampa Fellowship. So that was kind of, professional life. But let's go back to college. Also in that time, remember when it was Jesus plus girls and everything? My wife, Rachel, was a volleyball player from Tampa, Florida. And, volleyball players are cute. So I went to watch some games every once in a while. And, I noticed this girl, and we were hanging out with mutual friends and stuff. She said, I pursued you for 2 months, and I about gave up on you. But we were hanging out, and I just felt like God said, this is her, So we got engaged and got married in June of 2006. So at that time, I youth pastored a year in Tennessee and then gone to Florida, to Dunedin, Florida. You might know where Dunedin is at, Clearwater Beach. They're suffering for the Lord, 2 miles from the beach, y'all. It's really hard life, I'm just saying. But we're down there on youth ministering, and see, we started, we talked about all of this. We had both been through broken relationships, and we decided when we got married, we wanted to start having children early. So she gets pregnant very soon, and then 8 weeks old, we lose our baby. She's been wanting to be a mom since she was 7 years old. I'm thankful she waited. But, she's dreamt of being, this is the goal, to be a mom, right? So at 8 weeks old, we lose our first child. I was at church, and she passed at home, doing ministry. She's hurting that morning. We didn't know. I'm a young father and husband, expecting father and husband. I don't know, I'm broken, but I just didn't know how to help her. But God just said, love her. So I'm loving on her, and then it's not long after, I guess, the doctor's wishes, we got pregnant again, and not that soon. And I think it was October, November, and then we actually had Isabella. She's our 11-year-old. Then my wife gets pregnant again, and 10 weeks in, we lose another baby. She had to have a DNC at that point. It had to be surgically removed, and just, devastation and heartbreak and hormones, right? And just all this stuff, and here's what's happening. I'll tell you this, so we had, obviously, Eliana was our next pregnancy. She's 8 now, and then we had Katie, it's our 5-year-old. But I want to go back to when my wife was expecting our 4th pregnancy, Eliana. I was youth pastoring. We were in a 975 square foot apartment in Tampa, Florida, and I'm there. And one night, I was probably working on a sermon or something. I remember sitting at the computer. And guys, this is what God spoke to my heart, and the Spirit of the Lord came over me in that room, and He said, it's time. And I said, okay, God, time for what? And Scripture says that sometimes we just got to be what? Still. And I just, and then I look back to, just some scriptures I was thinking about, like Romans 12, 1 and 2, in view of God's mercy, we offer our bodies as living sacrifice, that we don't conform to the patterns of this world, but we're transformed by renewing your mind. That was a scripture I held on to when I was having back surgery, and then I look back at things like James 1, 2 through 5. Consider it pure joy, my brothers, when you're facing trials. What? Right? Really? But why do we do that? Because there's hope. There's purpose. There's perseverance. If we keep pushing, right? There's hope to be found. And I'm holding on to all these scriptures, and I'm pressing in. Jeremiah 29:11. Amen. Right? A hope and a future and purpose. But I'm sitting there just being still and praying. About 3 days go by, and the Lord was even more clear. He said, it's time to look for your mom. And I said, whoa. I have a mom. She's awesome. Joyce, right? No. The woman that chose life for you. It's time. And I said, okay, God. One thing I left out from the first part, when my mom sat down in the bed with me that day at 8 years old, she had reached up into the top of the closet in my bedroom, and she pulled out this 3-ring binder, and it had 8 pages of typewriter paperwork in there that they had gotten on me. That's all they had when they received me. And then it had just numerous journal entries in this thing, of where she said, I knew one day God was going to give you a peace and a freedom to search your mom out. And when you meet her, I want you to be able to give this to her. So I get this folder out in that moment. God just let it, I don't even remember how, I didn't necessarily know where it was, but I got out of this box and I start looking. And there are some good things on Google, like Steventhen.com and stuff like that. You might want to check that out. But I get on searching on Google, and see this, I've got 8 pages of typewriter paperwork laying here before me, and I've got this computer, so I just start doing name searches. Maybe I should start a show or something, because it only took me 3 days. When God says it's time, it's time. That, all these years of questioning and just didn't have a peace, but God said it's time. 3 days looking on there, I came across a website for a man named Steve Holt. Now wait, this guy, by the way, he's got your last name. This guy is a magician and ventriloquist from Spartanburg, South Carolina. And I was like, what? Why would this guy come up on my search stuff? Then I started digging into his bio, and guys, this is what happened. I'm looking at this paper, and it's faded. It looks like somebody poured coffee on it. It's from 1982. This is in 2007. Now, I'm 27 years old. I think that was right. 2009. And I'm looking at all these names, and this name matches, this name matches, this name matches, and I come across one very important name, Glenda Sue Holt. You know who that is? My birth mom. And I'm looking at, there's about 5 or 6 names that match exactly on the sheet of paper to what's on the screen on his website. And I said, this can't be a coincidence. So I sent him an email, right? I was trying to be, hey, I'm your long-lost nephew, 27 years, right? How does that go down? He calls me at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I said, I'm not doing this at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I went to sleep, and then I woke up about 7 o'clock and I called this guy and we talked on the phone for at least 2 hours, okay? And now he didn't tell me everything on the phone because he tells me later, he's like, I had to make sure, but he's like, I'm your uncle, I'm your nephew, this is wild. He's like, will you come see me? And I said, you know what, I will. Let me get through the summer with camps and stuff. And then I jumped on a plane from Tampa, Florida, and I drove up to Spartanburg, South Carolina. I spent 2 days with him, and this is what I found out. He said, my sister, your mom, was 18 years old. She was mentally challenged, only functioned as an 11-year-old mentally. They had her set up in a work program that, so that she was in a home, a mental health facility, and they set her up with a job, and she could safely walk to the job and then walk back home. One night, there were 5 men who attacked her and gang raped her. And you are a result from that. He said, actually, when she's there, all this went down in the home, what do you think they were telling her to do? Mentally challenged, no family, no home. Like, in most people's eyes, there would be justification. But God. This 18-year-old only functioned as an 11-year-old. Just the miracle, the power of God. She decided, you know what, I'm going to fight for my baby's life because he has purpose. God breathed into her, and this is what she did. She ran away. She wound up at my uncle's house for a moment, for about a week. He went in to take a shower, and she had disappeared. He actually would not be reunited with her from 1982 to 1992. 10 years went by. So he never knew what happened to this child she was carrying. But I knew that she had made her way from Georgia to Chattanooga, Tennessee, to a home, to an organization much like Hannah Pregnancy Resource Center, and they cared for her. But here's the thing, she ran away from there. She made a decision, befriended somebody she shouldn't have. She wound up at the end of her pregnancy, 9 months pregnant, living in a cardboard box behind a grocery store, a little mom and pop's grocery store called Pickett's Grocery, in a little town called Whoa. And there just happened to be a family there, by the grace of God, that wanted one. And she shows up at the health services, right? 7-day-old little Steventhen that she'd actually snuck out of the hospital with. Man, it's a great book. You should buy it. So I'm finding this out at 27 years old. Not done yet. So after he shares this with me, and he told me later, I just had to make sure that you could take it. He said, so your birth mom actually is alive. She lives 5 hours south of where we're sitting right now. Would you like to go meet her? You know the words that came out of my mouth without hesitation? It is time. Just, you know what? That's what God was speaking in my heart that day in Tampa. I just didn't know it. I'm ready. You've been through 27 years of life and you're ready for this. Watch what I'm about to do. We jump in the car, we drive down to this home, and let's cue that video, sir. But I just happened to take a video camera with me. And so tonight, what I want to bless you all with is you get to meet the very first time, 27 years old, that Steventhen Holland got to meet my hero, my birth mom, Linda Sue Holt. This is Linda, my mom. Actually,